You want to make a change. You want to lose fat. You want to change your lifestyle and your habits. And you know that the changes that you want to make are going to improve your overall mental health, well-being, body composition, whatever your goal may be, but you just cannot seem to will yourself to make the change. Have you ever wondered why this happens? We know that if we make the change, we're going to be better off, but we just don't do it. Human beings are so interesting this way. And there are a couple reasons why change feels overwhelming, even if it is for the better. The first one is our brains love predictability. One of the indicators of how stressful an event is perceived is whether or not it can be predicted. So even if a current situation is really miserable, it's still familiar. Our brains are wired to conserve energy and reduce uncertainty. And change, even if it's for the better, means stepping into unknown territory. And even if it's eating better or getting our steps in or whatever that looks like, our brain is interpreting this change as a threat. So this can actually trigger your stress response even stronger than the stress of the known misery. So right now, even if your life is miserable, it's familiar. And your brain sees familiar as safe and new as risky. Number two is identity. Sometimes we anchor our whole identity around our current situation, even if it's not ideal. For example, you might hear someone say, or hear yourself say, I'm someone who struggles with my weight. I hate my job. I just don't like exercise. I think eating healthy is bland and boring. Whatever that looks like. Sometimes the change isn't just about the habits, it's about who you are or who you know yourself to be. And so change, even if it's positive, threatens that sense of identity. It asks, who am I if not this person anymore? And that identity shift or potential identity shift can feel very destabilizing. Another one is the fear around change. With positive change comes gain, of course. But with gain also comes loss. So the fear of loss, whether that's loss of habits, loss of routines, or even loss of excuses that once made sense. For example, if you hate your job, quitting means you're going to feel better because you're no longer at that job. So the gain is happiness, but the loss is maybe you really love your colleagues. And maybe the schedule and routine that job had actually was working for you. And in the sense of losing weight, we're losing coping mechanisms. We're losing habits, we're losing routines that we are so familiar with. So even if all of these habits and routines and these coping mechanisms aren't working for us anymore, we are still losing our normal sense of comfort. And of course, with positive change comes the fear of failure. The pressure of, what if I fail? What if it doesn't last? And this is something that I see a lot in my clients who have continually dieted their entire life, where diet after diet after diet has failed them. But of course, they don't think of the diet as failing them, they think of themselves as the failure. So with this positive change comes the pressure of, what if it doesn't last again? What if I disappoint myself and the people around me again? The stakes of this change feel higher than staying the same because now there would actually be something worth losing. And that fear of disappointment and failure again fuels stress. And of course, with positive change comes the actual physiological adjustment that you're going to have to make. Change requires new behavior, a new way of eating, new workouts, and a new mindset. This attacks willpower. This disrupts routines. And even just the thought of all this change can create that mental fatigue, which then causes stress even if you know the end goal is better health or happiness. So in short, staying the same, even if you're miserable, offers predictability and even in a weird way, some sense of control. And positive change, though better in the long run, introduces uncertainty, weird identity shifts, and introduces existential questions like, who am I without my Sour Patch Kids every night? The brain codes these all as risks, and risks are stressful. So now you're probably asking, well, Mo, how am I ever supposed to make positive change if all it's going to do is stress me out? But there are very actionable ways to make it manageable. The first thing that I work on with my clients is shrinking the challenge. The biggest mistake people make when they think about making positive changes in their life is they think about it on a macro level. They want to change everything all at once. They want to start going to the gym. They want to start eating better. They start going to bed earlier. They start waking up earlier, and they're trying to overhaul their entire life all at once. Shrinking the change and making it small and bite-sized, break it into tiny, bite-sized, low-risk steps. The next step is to anchor your identity around the things that you're wanting to change. So focusing on who you're becoming versus who you were can introduce a new sense of confidence. Think about your future self and what you want that to look like. What does your lifestyle look like? What do you feel like? What are your energy levels? And ask yourself, what are the things that that person does to achieve those things? And then you say, I'm someone who likes lifting weights because I like feeling strong. I'm somebody who eats protein at every meal because I know it helps me feel full and energized. Anchoring your identity around the habits instead of focusing on why you're doing them will help make it feel like less of a loss and more of a slow shift. Every single week with my one-on-one clients, I work on normalizing the setbacks. Failure is not marked by how many times you fall down. Failure is marked by staying down. If you tell yourself you might not be really good at this right away, and you expect bumps in the road and you expect to learn, in fact, if you get excited to learn, that is going to take all the fear away of failure. Having a growth mindset around the habit change that you're wanting to make helps you see roadblocks and setbacks as a growing and learning opportunity instead of a reason to quit. And one of the biggest things that I talk to people about when it comes to fitness and nutrition in general is by focusing on what you're adding instead of what you're taking away. So if I were to talk to someone about changing up their diet, for example, the first thought that everybody has is to take carbs away, stop eating junk food, stop drinking alcohol. While all of those things are beneficial in and of themselves, they are not sustainable. So instead of immediately focusing on all the things that you're taking away, focus on the things that you're adding. In regards to nutrition, add more protein, add more vegetables, add more whole wheat carbs. And when it comes to big lifestyle changes, don't focus on all the things you're losing, focus on the things you're adding. More energy, more food freedom, and more strength. Discomfort isn't failure, it means you're growing. But it's also incredibly normal and human to feel scared of change. It's how our brains are wired. It kept us alive for a very long time. In fact, it's a mechanism in your ancestors' brains that is the reason why you are here today. So if you're wanting to make a change and you're feeling scared, say thank you, fear. I hear you, but you're not needed. Change feels stressful because it matters to you. So if you stay the course, the reward is the freedom and the confidence that you've built by overcoming things that you were previously afraid of, but have since overcome.